All right, good morning and welcome everybody to the Never Stop Healing podcast. This is your host of the day, Cade Archibald, and I am really excited for this podcast. We got a brand new year, brand new month, and we even had a little name enhancement. So the podcast, same podcast, same time, new name, Never Stop Healing, and so. Excited about this. We got with us today, as the usual, we got the Regan Archibald, founder of East West Health and Go Wellness, and pretty rad guy. Regan, how's it going?
It's going awesome. Just finished a really good workout with Michael Banks today. So my arms are burning, my legs are burning, but otherwise I'm doing awesome.
Nice. Yeah, he's beating you up. That's yes. Awesome. Yeah, and he's there in where's Michael Banks at? He's in Draper. Nice.
Yep.
If you guys are up in that area, look him up. He's awesome. Well, great. So last night, let's just if anyone's not a part of the Health Accelerator community here, we had an awesome hack last night. Go get registered there. If you're not, go to acueastwest.com/hack. That's HAC. Last night we talked about the 60-day reset, and we're starting that January 19th. So we got about 2 weeks, and really cool challenges. I'm excited about this one. I've been kind of gearing up towards that. I'm trying to work through that through the holidays. Obviously a challenge. But I feel like I did pretty good. I splurged on a little sugar here and there, but definitely was my best holiday season by far as discipline goes.
Nice.
Yeah. So so some of the details, just so you guys have that, if you weren't on last night. So the 60-day reset. So every day for 60 days, you're going to cut sugar. So no sugar. You're going to do 30 minutes of weightlifting or HIIT, body weight movements, yoga, Pilates, cycling, something like that. Really high activity exercise. And then 30 minutes of being outside, walking, running, hiking, biking, anything, just get outside and move. And then 2 minutes daily of cold exposure. So that could be a cold shower. I got an ice cold shower this morning. It's cold enough in St. George to get cold showers.
Wow.
Or an ice bath, something like that. And then the last piece is mindset morning. So I'm pumped for this challenge. So you guys get ready for that. So I know we wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and just getting everybody. We also have a 3-day challenge that we're going to be starting next week as well. So let's dive in, Regan, and
sure.
Where do we go from here?
Well, I'll share with you guys a cool quote from Jim Rohn. He said, "Success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day." And so one of the reasons why we're doing this 60-day reset is so that you can start to capitalize on creating new habits that actually lead to greater freedom when it comes to your health. Because I love the Jocko Willink, his thoughts on discipline. He said, the only pathway to true freedom is through discipline. And then Dan Sullivan says, we're all 100% disciplined to our existing set of habits. So how many of you have some habits and some things in your life that you could maybe improve upon? And so what we're going to talk about today is just how important that is, because if you look at health and why health actually matters, it helps us accomplish several things in our life. First of all, you can't really live without having health. But most importantly, when you think about health, you're going to find that health will create better financial stability in your life, because it's been proven, and actually there's a really interesting study that was done. It was a corporate wellness kind of study where they found that the workers who were more healthy had 37% greater productivity. So if you think about that, when you're more productive, then you have more opportunities that show up in your life, and you have a greater ability and capability to create a new financial impact. And so I was sharing with the hack group last night, Cade, you probably remember this, where one of our patients started working with us, and she was so tired. She was fatigued. She had Hashimoto's. The medications were making her wired, but tired at the same time. And she got to the place where she had to cut her work back to part-time. She thought she was going to have to sell her house and go on disability, because even part-time was a struggle for her. And she made the commitment. She said, man, I'm going to figure out a way to pay for this program. I'm going to do it. And she did it. And within 6 months, she was working full time. Her energy was back. And she just reached out to us a couple of weeks ago and said, in 2021, I made $70,000 more than I made the year before. So she was just super grateful for that. So there's proof that health, actually focusing on your health, can be really good for you financially. What are your thoughts on that, Cade?
I love that, because, I think a lot of times, and how the IRS looks at health is an expense. And so really looking at health, your health is like, that is an investment. It's your greatest wealth. Because if you have your health, you have the capabilities to like take on new projects, new objectives, grow your mind, grow your skill set, all those things. Because when you're feeling crummy and you don't have the energy, and you don't have the oomph to get out there and do some of those things, there's no way to have that the income's not going to follow that. And so that's where I love that. It just opens up so many new opportunities. You can make better relationships, which I think, relationships, you listen to any of the, if you follow anyone like, I'm trying to think, any one of those like financial gurus, they always say like, you're the equivalent of the 5 people surrounding you. Like that's your average.
Yep.
And so, if you're not developing any relationships, that's going to be tough as well. So I think, health creates so many new opportunities from a holistic area, from fitness to career to, making new friends, relationships, being able to travel easier. Because when you feel sick, doesn't matter how much money you have, it's not fun to travel.
Right. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about it, is there's so many benefits to it. And so what we're going to talk about today, so by the time you get to the end of the show today, you'll have a greater relationship, a greater feeling about your health and the future of your health. We're going to talk to you about some little micro habits you can start putting into place, because as we gear up for this 60-day reset, I want to make sure that everyone's mindset is in the right place, because it all starts with the way you think, and then the way we think influences our emotions and the way we feel. And then the way we feel, that influences our behavior. And then our behavior is basically influences who we are. And so we start in reverse, and we say, last night we said, okay, who are you going to identify yourself as being in the future? So who is the future version of you? And then really get that and remind yourself every day who you are. And then once you can identify who you are, then you know what to do. And then once you know what to do, then you start thinking about the how to do it, because most of us do it the opposite. We say, okay, how am I going to get more fitness, greater levels of health? How am I going to put in better habits? But really, it just starts with who you are. And then that's what influences your behavior. So kind of interesting. And this has all been heavily backed by research and studies. So here's a few. I'm just going to go through kind of some rapid fire things that you can do to get yourself ready for this this nice 60-day reset that's coming up January 19th. So first of all, part of the reset is this 30 minutes of time exercising outside ideally. And so what that means is we've all got to get more comfortable being outside. And so you can even go outside on it's a little stormy here, but in St. George, maybe you can go outside and read a book, start a creative project. You can go outside and go for a walk. You can go for a run. You can go for a hike, but find time to go outside today. So that's the big challenge, is get outside today. Cade, what's it like for you when you go outside on the days you do go outside, which is hopefully most days, versus the days you're just inside staring at a screen all day?
I feel a lot more energized, much more just like present. Sierra and I have been walking around kind of like our neighborhood and going down to a couple of the new developments, and it's just like the scenery and everything in St. George is so rad. You got the beautiful Pine Valley Mountains. You just start to notice your environment better. It's really just mind clearing, I guess would be the best way to explain it. Especially like if I'm stuck in work mode trying to solve a problem, I can't just in that kind of rat race in my head. If I get outside, clear my head, usually the solution comes much easier, much more clearly, and it's like, oh, that was actually easy. I was just stuck.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Like you get outside and things, even the shapes, we build these perfectly square walls, and we have square tables, and you get outside and there's no nature. It looks a little chaotic, but it influences our brain and it sparks more creativity. And so yeah, getting outside is just like massive because it opens things up. So the first thing, get outside. The second thing in this reset is you want to take the things in your life that are draining your energy. And we talk about getting rid of clutter, but take those things that are the most oppressive in your life and think about what those are, and then just break them down into small little things and say, okay, well, I really need to clean my whole garage needs to be organized. So maybe it's like, okay, well, I'm going to start in one corner and I'm just going to focus on that corner for an hour. I'm going to set a stopwatch, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'll come and tackle it a little bit more the next day. But if you break these things down into small manageable tasks, it's so much easier. I mean, we've got our brand new Accelerate program, and we've had some of you are new members who have signed up for it. And I'm so appreciative of you guys. But the cool thing about the Accelerate program is, it's just been a massive project to figure out how can we get people as healthy as possible in the least amount of time, using the most innovative medicine and creating the teamwork and collaboration that's needed so that you've got the motivation to move forward and accomplish your health goals. Well, it's been a work of 18 months, just kind of chiseling away with the Health Accelerator group, and then working with some of the world's leading researchers in peptide therapy and regenerative medicine and functional medicine. And now, Cade, maybe you can, you could disagree with me, but now we've got this amazing system where we've got Jenny, who's come back as our health advisor, which we're super appreciative of her coming back off maternity leave. And now we've got a very systemized structure in place that can literally change anybody's health in 180 days. It can maximize their energy levels by 85%. It's going to help them sleep better, feel better. They'll lose the weight that they wanted to lose. What we see is an average of about 30 pounds for people who want to lose weight. But what are your thoughts on that whole process, Cade? And it just took like small bits and then it turned into something really amazing.
Yeah, and I still remember when you kind of presented the idea, and it was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. But it's taken, because it's been almost 2 years ago. Yeah, even over that, and I think it's just been an amazing process, and I think you've done just a phenomenal job at creating such fulfilling content that helps people just soar. And it's in little, just like you said, it's in little bite sizes, so it's digestible. In health, it's so hard to take someone that's just working in the clinics. It's really hard when someone's health's really low, and taking that up to a really high point is very difficult to bridge that gap. But if you can meet people where they're at and just help them start to develop some of those small little tweaks of habits, it's crazy how fast that can accelerate. But if you don't break it down into those bite-sized pieces, it typically doesn't happen, because that gap is so large, and it's just a huge hurdle to overcome. And so I think it's exciting, especially as we look at what we're able to deliver service-wise for our patients and clients is so exciting.
Awesome. Well, and that's the great thing about it is, I wasn't just alone. It was like, I'd ask Cade, I'm like, all right, Cade, I'm stuck on this thing. Like, when should we do these health accelerator challenges? What are the people, what are the great people in our community? What do they need most? How can we help them? And then it was working with our health coaches, working with our doctors, and really crafting some content and some curriculum that would transform people's lives. And so it's been really fun to see when people walk in. I saw one of our patients the other day, and I said, "You look like half the person." And he was like, "Well, yeah, I appreciate everything you've done. I mean, I miss some of the foods, but actually it's been way easier than I thought." And, that's what I want to hear. I love it when people say it's been way easier than I thought to get my health to this level, because if it's complicated and hard, you're not doing it right. And that's one of the things that Picasso, who's one of my favorite artists, he always says, it took me a long time to become young again. And he went from creating very complex artwork and paintings to just at the end of his life, he would take a single line and draw this gorgeous bird or horse. And, he carved out the things that weren't essential. So that's one thing you can do in your own life is, when you get stuck, collaborate with somebody, get insights, reach out. I mean, we've got a great community here where if you're like, man, I'm not getting to where I want to be. Well, we've got our Signal group, and then you've got the hack community that is right there for you. And then you've got the one-on-one personal connection with us. And so one of the things that we're challenging everyone to do on this reset is to get your lab work done and make sure that you get in, try to get that lab work done before the 19th of January, because that's when we really kick it off on that Wednesday. So if you're thinking about running blood labs this year, many of you have purchased our acupuncture functional medicine package that includes the blood work. Get that done before the 19th and get it done like immediately, so we can get you on the schedule and do a whole comprehensive program and lab review, at least, so that you can see what blind spots you have. Because one of the big problems is when you get ready to go and take action on a 60-day reset, you want to make sure what interferences are going to, sabotage your success. Because I want to make sure that everybody who enters into this 60-day reset, when they get to the finish line, they're going to have a new level of confidence, a new level of clarity, and then a whole new level of skills, because you're going to be learning things about yourself that are going you're going to take this into the future. And so it's going to be like this nice continual investment that you're going to make in your own health. But get some labs ran. Metabolomics. If you guys have not ran the metabolomics test, I'm going to go through that real quick, kid. Maybe I could share my screen for those who are watching live, or those who see the YouTube video. But metabolomics has become a favorite of mine as I've reached out to different doctors. Dr. Jones, who had been, I've been in his functional medicine course pretty heavily, and Cade's jumped in there too. But he turned me on to this, the whole new level of looking at biotoxins and environmental toxins that, I'd looked into those in the past in the clinic, but it was, I just felt like it was never getting to the root of the problem. And so, but now I've learned ways of looking, and with Genova Labs and with the metabolomics test, we can actually get deeper into the cellular interferences than we've ever gotten before. And then once you remove the interferences, you correct the deficiencies, you get rid of the inflammation, that's really when there's nothing that's going to keep you from accelerating your health. But the problem is most people never take the time to understand where the interferences are, and then they just keep getting frustrated because they get a little bit better, but they don't have the complete transformation. So if you have not taken the metabolomics, it's a new test that we're offering, and we can ship it to your house very easily. It just takes a couple of days. It's a urine test. It's a blood stick. So it's just a tiny little drop of blood and then a little buccal swab of saliva. So you don't even have to go to a phlebotomist to get your blood drawn. It's all, you can do it all yourself. So that's pretty helpful, isn't it, Cade?
It's so nice. Yeah, and I love this. Some of these different markers that it's exciting when we can add in some additional value and understanding of underlying causes. And so this is an awesome test.
Yeah. And so just so for those of you who can't see this this test, you can go to Genova Metabolomics, but essentially what we're looking at is all the supportive sides of what's going to alleviate the oxidative stress. Because I just read a statistic this morning that was a little sobering, because the study found that individuals who have heart disease and heart attacks, which is still the #1 killer in America, on average, the direct and indirect cost per person is $4.2 million in a lifetime. And so everybody's healthy the day before they have the heart attack. But what is the death by 1,000 cuts that leads to these cardiovascular events is these slow oxidative stressors that build up. And that oxidative stress is something that now we can look at all the components of it and find out how we can eradicate that oxidative stress with the metabolomics. The second thing we're looking at are mitochondrial dysfunction. So the mitochondrial dysfunction, I can show you, if you look at the energy production in a cell and your ability to create ATP, or even working on the AMPK pathway, which we've talked a lot about with MADA-C, with that peptide, and with 5-amino-1-MQ. These peptides go in there and prime the mitochondria. But now we can actually look even deeper and find out what nutritional imbalances and mineral imbalances do you have that's leading to poor functioning mitochondria. And in a cardiac cell alone, you might have upwards of 5,000 mitochondria in a single cell. So it's not like one mitochondria per cell, because we call it the engine of the cell, but this is like massive amounts. It's like a battery with all the different cells within that singular battery in your cell. And so the mitochondria is one of the most important aspects that we look at when it comes to you reversing your biological age and your ability to metabolize. So if you've noticed that your metabolism has become sluggish, where maybe you look at food and you put on 5 pounds, or you notice you get hangry a lot, those Snickers commercials like really fit your profile. Well, you need to look at your mitochondrial imbalances. So that's pretty exciting. Because Cade, in the past, we've known about mitochondria, but just couldn't really dial in anything specific.
Yeah. And we've always, I know, I remember maybe 2 years ago, we were trying to figure out a good test for mitochondrial function. And we were looking at, you can get like the crazy device and do the it's like a cardiac test where you got to run on a treadmill and do all sorts of crazy stuff, and it's really intense. Whereas this is awesome. We can get a urine and a blood spot sample and get a ton of information from that.
Yeah, because this shows us the raw materials that is being metabolized based on healthy mitochondria. So this is a great thing about if you look at the opportunities in health right now, they get better every single year. And every year we improve, but it's a faster improvement than we've ever made. So, when we go from 2018 to 2019, we made a jump, and then 2019 to 2020, even a bigger jump, 2020 to 2021, a huge jump. And now we're making the biggest leap we ever have. So I'm just super excited about the future. It's going to be amazing. So had a couple people getting their blood work done. Congratulations. Awesome. Susan said, being outside fills my soul. Yesterday, I took down Christmas decorations in the rain, and the rain made my hair look so soft.
Nice.
Awesome. There we go. Okay, the other thing we're looking at in the metabolomics is your omega fatty acids. So if you think about, your cellular health, and if you want to really have a maximized brain capacity and alleviate a lot of the inflammation in the body, you need good omega fatty acids. So when I do heavy workouts, or when I'm doing like a 30-mile bike ride, I will be swimming in omega-3 in fish oil. And so what the test does is show me if I have enough or not. And I found that there's times where I thought I had enough, but it was not anywhere near what my body needed. And then the other thing we look at is toxic exposure. So I was talking to a patient last week, and it was interesting because we were talking about how her fatigue and her joints would ache all the time. And we started working together. I think it was about 3, maybe 4 months ago. And what she told me is, she said, you know what, it was such a frustrating thing. But until we discovered that I had this heavy metal that was getting in the way. So once we got rid of, we put her on a chelation. She was doing some vitamin chelation and IVs. And she said that just changed everything. Within 2 days, she said all that pain and that kind of that constant ache, she felt like her jaw was always clenched. Her eyes always felt strained. But she said once the heavy metals were out of my system, I felt so much better. And now she's, feels like her hormones are better. We're going to retest her. And so there's a really important thing with toxic exposure, because what the EPA, what they found is we're all exposed to over 100,000 different environmental toxins every single day. And so that's pretty scary, because a lot of these, we don't know where they come from. We say, well, I eat organic. I have a great HEPA filter in my house. I don't, I don't put any chemicals into my body or on it with my soaps or my shampoos. But there's still some chemicals that we're finding that lead to toxic exposure. And so one of the things you want to look at is there's 2 types of toxins. There's the environmental toxins, and we'll look at some of those, which is like your lead, your mercury, your arsenic, cadmium. But then there's also the biotoxic buildup that comes just from metabolism alone. You're going to have some biotoxic buildup. And so that's internally generated toxins. And then the final thing in the metabolomics, what we look at is your methylation imbalance. And so this is really interesting, because it can show you how well you're utilizing amino acids. And so we do an entire amino acid profile. So we're looking at not just your fatty acid profile, but your amino acid profile. And this is really critical if you're trying to get rid of autoimmunity. If you have any kind of fitness goals, you want to make sure that your methylation pathways are properly supported. Otherwise, you're going to be sore. You're not going to recover. You're going to wake up from a workout the next day and almost feel kind of sick. Have you ever felt like that, Cade, where you pushed it so hard, you just felt almost sick the next day, or even that evening?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's because there's some of the amino acids and B vitamins that weren't present in order for you to handle all that stress you put on your body with whatever exercise you did.
Well, that's good to know. It would have been better to know when it happened, but
you're like, thanks for telling me now, but that's not very helpful. But
it's helpful for the future.
For the future, you got it there.
Yeah. I got to get this test done.
Yeah, it's a fascinating test. And I think what you'll find is, obviously we want to do functional medicine. We want to look at the blood. But, when we get to the blood, sometimes it's too late, because our body, that's post metabolism, right? That's like what the final product of our digestion is, the blood. And so that's what a lot of people don't realize. My Japanese teacher used to pray over the food, and as she would say the prayer over the food, is really powerful, because she would say, and let this food become our blood, and then let our blood give us the nourishment and strength so that we can serve other people at our deepest capacity. And so that's the beautiful thing is we can do that with the blood, but when this is going a step deeper, so we're actually going upstream, and we're looking at all the different interferences that show up before it reaches our blood. But blood is a good foundational place. We want to do stool, because stool is no different than this. That's like going deeper into your digestive system to see how well are we utilizing the food that we're actually eating. And how's the bacteria health in our body? How are we breaking down different nutrients from an enzymatic perspective? That shows up in the gut. So all these things are really critical when it comes to this 60-day reset. So get the test ran, and don't hesitate, because the point we're trying to make is to remove blind spots. And just remember, think about those people. We talked about death by neglect yesterday, which is pretty interesting. So that death by neglect is something we've got to, we really need to be very serious about. And there's certain levels of neglect, right? There's certain people who it's just obvious and blatant neglect to their health. They'll never see a doctor. They won't change their diet. They really don't want help. But then there's the neglect where we're not looking deep enough, and that's really where it's detrimental to your health, because it can lead to bigger problems in the future. It's kind of like if you have a small leak in your roof, and you say, well, it's not that bad. It's not leaking into the house. It's not impacting me at all. There's no discomfort. Well, I can tell you, when it starts leaking into your house, that no discomfort goes to crisis in a hurry when you've got a big storm, and when your ceiling's caved in and there's mold that you've got to remediate. So it's the same thing in our health. Like, look for those blind spots. The other thing that is going to be really helpful as you enter into this 60-day reset is you want to remove distractions. So we're going to ask you to learn new things, and to grab read new books. And, last night I said, hey, if anyone needs book recommendations, I've got plenty of books I'm happy to give people that I've read that my wife would love to have off the shelves in our house. But also we'd love to hear what books do you guys recommend right now? And you can plug it into the chat box, because learning is a big part of it. So we're going to remove distractions, and then we're going to practice active learning by active listening, not only to what we're reading and doing, but also active listening in our relationships, which is pretty cool. But did anyone, Cade, do you have any books you would recommend, or anyone have anything in there?
Let me think. I think one of the books, oh man, I just passed it off to Regan, or to Sierra. Right now I'm reading to the Jordan Peterson's book, the 12, what is it? 12 orders. Yeah,
it's the 12 rules for living a happy life, or something like that. I think it's 12 rules for something.
Yeah. So I'm just recently started that. Really liking that. Prior to that, I had just read the 4 Principles? It's a pretty old book. It's like a pretty small, simple. It's just like the 4 principles or 4 foundations to like a just mindset of a happy life, something like that.
Okay, awesome.
I had texted you about it. It was right here on my desk, and I just handed it off.
Wait, is it the 4 agreements?
Yes.
Okay.
The 4 agreements.
Oh, and Allison put that in there too, saying, okay, perfect.
There we go. Yes.
And then Jordan Peterson's is the 12 rules for life. And that one's awesome. And then he's got Beyond Order, which is another great book of his as well.
Yes, and that's actually the one I am reading is Beyond Order.
Okay.
I got them mixed up. I said the 12 things for order. I'm
Wow.
reading the Beyond Order.
And Susan said the lost art of listening was powerful. Chanel, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. Brene Brown, she's powerful. Yeah, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Yeah, that is great. Yeah, so yeah, that's going to be some of the things. So remove distraction. And then the last book by Brene Brown is The Gifts of Imperfection, Diane. So Gifts of Imperfection. Awesome. So yeah, as you guys have these, make sure you plug it in our Signal group as you have books that have been really inspirational to you, because the beautiful thing about a book is you're in a relationship with the person who's writing it. I mean, I love reading books because I can actually start to understand the way other people think, because a book is just simply a compilation of how people think about a certain topic. And so you can learn a lot that way. And then listening is so important. There's an Ernest Hemingway quote. And he says, when people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen. So I think that book, The Lost Art of Listening, I got to read that. That sounds awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Susan. So the other thing, we talk about doing some cold exposure. So that means, yes, get cold, but also consider taking some baths. An hour and a half before bed. I took a really hot bath Tuesday night, and I took it. My wife was kind enough to run the bath for me. I was doing some activities with the kids, and I got in, and she'd ran a bath for me. But it was too stimulating because I took it right before bed. So, I got out of the bathtub about 9:20 and got in bed by 9:30. And then my brain was just like, like it took me an hour and a half to fall asleep. So you want to give yourself about 90 minutes before you go to bed to take a bath. And then part of the 60-day reset is also going to be make sure you stop eating your last meal 3 hours before you go to bed. So, and that makes it very simple on our timed eating. 12 hours of fasting is much easier to do that way. But yeah, think about taking a bath just as much as you're thinking about, okay, I need some cold exposure, and I'm going to just change my metabolic process through cold, but also you can do it through heat, because by the end of this challenge, we're going to be right there at the spring equinox. And so we're going to take this 60 days all the way through, and we're going to finish winter stronger than we ever have. Most people put on weight in the winter. And then by the time April rolls around, they're like, man, I've got to get ready for the summer and the swimsuit season, or whatever their motivation is. I got to fit into these jeans. But what I'm thinking is, why don't we just look our best all year and actually do it in the winter? There's the beautiful opportunities in the winter, and it's such a magical time of year because the snow, the weather, and I love the cold too. It's kind of empowering. So yeah, these are just some things you can do. Some of the other things is, think about your habits and routines. So the 60-day reset is going to be looking at why you do things the way you do. Henry Ford, he said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So I'll read that one more time from Henry Ford. He says, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So Henry Ford, his biggest challenge was when he created the automobile, he said all people wanted was a faster horse. and so he's like, if I gave people what they wanted, they would just want a faster horse. But he started doing things differently and said, hey, here's a mode of transportation that might actually be better than horses. And at the time it was far-fetched. And now there's cars everywhere. Pretty soon there'll be autonomous cars. So yeah.
It's crazy how that's evolved.
Yeah, wild. Allison said The Art of Extreme Self-Care. That sounds like an awesome book. I got to read that one too. See, look at all these. I appreciate you guys. So I think we covered, from the 60-day reset, right now you're in the preparatory phases. So just start getting rid of the sugar out of your house. Just start looking at, how you can start confronting some of the energy drains, take on some of the big projects and make them micro projects. But the more you can start doing this, the better prepared you're going to be. Susan said 10 ways to deal with toxic people was extremely helpful. That's awesome, Susan. Awesome. Well, Cade, what else do you have to share on that? Because I think we've got people pretty well. If we summarize everything we talked about today, we should have people pretty ready to go. Judy's wondering, deep chocolate, is that a book or is that you? Judy, are you asking, do I have any deep chocolate I could share with you, or deep chocolate wisdom?
Maybe that's a book.
A book called Deep Chocolate. I love chocolate, if anyone's, if you're wondering, but
Nice. Well,
awesome.
yeah, and I think you nail it on the head when looking at the winter. Oh, can she still eat dark chocolate?
If it's got 1 gram of sugar in it, Judy, it's not going to work.
So you just got to get the pure dark.
It's going to be bitter.
Add some salt to it, and it sweetens it right up.
Yep. Awesome. Well, this is going to be exciting. How many of you are excited for the 60-day reset? And how many of you could, just see, awesome. A lot of you are. How many of you could see, like, man, there's a bigger future out there for me. And you don't want to have blind spots. The great thing about this community is we are people who say, you know what, I'm not going to let that roof leak break into something bigger. I'm going to take action on my health. I'm going to do things that are going to help other people. I'm going to create great relationships, great financial stability for myself. And I'm really going to maximize my enjoyment in life because of the health that I do now have. So really appreciate you guys being part of this Never Stop Healing community. And we will see you guys next week, same time, same place.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Regan. Amazing content. Really excited to see you guys just excel over this next 60 days. So we'll see you guys there. See you next week. See everybody.
Bye-bye.